Hi guys, I'm Lou,
Hey guys, I'm Z.
and welcome back to another episode of Clueless with Alam Z.
Hi guys, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about perspectives in the parent child relationship. This is a series that we're going to be starting. We're going to be hosting multiple guests. We're going to be having interviews. We're going to be basically seeking out different perspectives from different people, being raised in different ways, raising people in different ways, parenting in different ways, being parented in different ways, whether it's going to jump into people with strict religious family, people who are unschooling, people who are homeschooling. Basically, we just want to cast a whole wide net, and get all the perspectives we can. In this episode specifically, we're just, going to touch base into some of the things we're going to be talking about. Obviously, in each interview and in each episode in this series, it's going to be a unique conversation. It's going to be, something genuine at the end of the day. So Zela's gonna start us off with a question for this introductory into the series.
So the first question that I kind of want to start off with is, do you think that kids like us as younger kids and stuff like that, even teenagers and stuff, do you think that we actually fully respect adults? Like, do you think we still respect adults?
I feel like we do when the adult deserves respect. Do you understand? I feel now I'm speaking from my own perspective, the people that I surround myself with. If you're not being respectable, if you just the only reason you feel I need to respect you or respect is needed because you feed me, or not even that, because excluding my parents, just general adults, it's because you're older than me. It's that age, it's that you have more experience than me. That's why I need to respect you. You're not giving me any reason, you're not giving me any fact. Out of that, we didn't have that element. What would be the reason for me to respect you? And I feel like as well, when that comes, you don't respect me. You just feel entitled to that respect. I feel like that's
I feel like another question connecting to that is, do you think that the term of respecting your elders has kind of changed with generations?
Yes, I do think I feel maybe in the past generations it was respecting your elders, it's just taking whatever they throw at you. It's just all right, no, they're older than me, I can't talk back. Okay, me obviously I know what they're doing isn't right, yet I need to respect them. I can't, under because if you're gonna go to an adult, for instance, and say, oh hey, I don't think what you're doing is, correct or it makes much sense to them in or how I feel in their perspective, they're basically thinking, oh, now you're belittling me. You don't think that me as an adult, I know what I'm doing. You think that you are better than me, type of vibe. So I feel like there's a disconnect there.
I agree. For me personally, I feel like um, the terms have kind of grown because the newer generation has kind of woken up that I won't respect you if you don't respect me. I've seen that a lot in this younger generation, in the younger kids, is that they've learned that they also deserve respect in
In
return,
exchange,
you
yeah.
know? And sometimes, guys, I feel like there's a thin line between teaching your kid that they deserve respect and then your kid being spoiled and thinking that they are what's it called? What's also what I'm looking for? Entitled.
Uh,
I feel like that's a very thin line, especially with the whole instant gratification and tablet babies and stuff
yeah.
like that. I feel like it's a thin line that can get blurred very, very easily between teaching your child that they deserve respect too, they can say no, boundaries and all that, and then your child is feeling entitled.
No, I understand. I feel like it's the type of thing where when people want to talk to their children, like, no, I'm coming to you, I'm down at your level. I want you to hear me. I don't want to be reprimanding you, shouting at you, like going down at you all the time.
Mhm.
That's why, they say when you talk to kids, you get down to their level, you talk to them and stuff. I feel maybe that silver lining, that boundary that you're talking about, is more of that, okay, kids also need to understand, yes, we're going to respect each other, we need to see each other at the same level, ne? But in realistically, we're not at the same level. But at the same time, ne, it's hard, and I understand how it can be confusing, how that line can, slip through people's hands, because I'm not even a parent, right? I'm speaking from a child perspective, and it's a lot to think about. There's a lot to contribute when it comes. There's a lot that contributes into having a child, and the child growing up, their mindset, how they are, their morals, all that. So going back, I feel that balance, that's what I mean when you're talking about, is okay that we're here, we're connecting, our communication line should always be clear, but at the same time, we're not at the same level. You understand? Boundaries and respect, and knowing that people are older than you, they have more power than you. Sometimes they have to make decisions for you because you're not capable of doing it, on that type of thing. Or why not? It's ha 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 ha. You can't force me to do that. Things like washing, taking care of yourself, school in some aspects, stuff like that.
I understand what I mean. And it also depends with the different parenting styles. Because personally for me, parenting is something that's always been kind of like an interest of mine. Um yeah, the relationship actually, not necessarily parenting, but the relationship between parent and child and how people move with their children and stuff like that. And I've seen that it depends from parent to parent, family to family, how communications with the child and respect and such on is seen, because with me personally and our family, talking to Ma has always been a thing of just come at it correctly, you know.
Yeah.
Um, if you come at it with the thing of you've got all your facts in a row, my mom's the type of person where don't come and then when she asks questions, you don't have answers. If you're gonna come and ask her for something, come with a plan, come with answers to her questions. And she most of the time she comes at you like, she can try and relate to you and stuff like that. But then everyone has those moments, and I'm not saying like parents only, even us as children, we have those moments where we close our ears off to people.
Yeah.
We have those moments where we just close our ears off to people because as a child, Lula, whenever you get in trouble or you're getting lectured or whatever, a parent is telling you a deep lesson, you've never been caught in those moments where out of cheek, a parent wants to lay, an adult wants to lay some life-changing advice onto your soul. And at that time, you're just not feeling it and kind of just close your ears.
I
Have you never
actually
done that?
do that now. I haven't noted. There's something that I've been wanting to say when it
Mm,
comes to that name.
mm,
I feel all that it's an important approach, you
mm,
know. Because some of the time when I'm being let's or when for me instance or for anybody, being reprimanded, being talked to, given reason or to this and that, it's
mm,
gonna come to me. Some parts are necessary, some parts are not.
mm,
Belittling, shouting at me, all that. I don't think so. Me personally, ladies, I don't really experience that, ne? But I just feel like the approach is important because when somebody comes up to me, ne, like, all right, for instance, my mother, for instance, is more of okay, they did this, and this. There's conversation, there's reason behind it, there's backing, there's proofing, there's validation behind, or most of the time behind every statement. So I'm like, all right, okay, now I understand. But then when it's you say something and you hit me or you wanna like hurt me at the same time, you wanna educate, you wanna guide me. Now I'm not saying me, but generally how I know from my friends and stuff, like, okay, now I understand. I understand the importance of your lesson. I understand what you're saying, but everything else isn't necessary. It's making me like, okay, from what I've heard. Now I'm speaking from my friends, and okay, me in some situations, where I'm like, all right, I understand you're trying to say something to me. I'm going to, because I know, I'm aware, I took the time to listen to you, and I have to mentally extract the good from the bad. When there's like 80% noise and the rest is okay. Sometimes you just don't have the energy to do that separation, and all of it just goes to the gutter, just goes to the bin. So I feel like the importance of approach of communication is very important when it comes to that.
That makes sense. That's a skill that I've recently been learning, is that not everybody is out to get me. The world is not against me. Not everybody, when they open their mouth, wants to hurt me. Sometimes, I learned it when I learned different communication styles. Sometimes a person says something and it's not how you're taking it. You know, you're processing it entirely differently than how they're saying it. And that's okay, but you've also got to understand that you are processing it differently than how they're saying it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but that also goes into the same thing. But like when you're talking to somebody, when you're communicating, ne, you need to communicate in a way where the other person can understand you, right? So who's wrong in the situation? The person who's not understanding or the person who's talking?
But I feel like that depends now, because a parent, a lot of the time, when they're talking to you, they're
Yeah.
going to assume that you understand. Because personally, for me, when a person is talking to me and I'm feeling heightened emotions and I don't know how to communicate, I'm just going to nod. That's
Yeah.
all I do. The entire time, I'm going to nod. As if,
Most of the time, I feel when parents are shouting, I won't even, okay, reprimanding in a way, I guess, reprimanding is the word, about
mm,
shouting, doing all that, ne?
mm,
You're not necessarily doing that, oh, in some way, maybe in the back of their head, or you had that percentage of intention was there in the bigger picture. But when
mm,
you're shouting, saying all those things, that noise is your anger, your problems, everything from you, excluding the knowledge and the lessons that you want to teach your kid. You understand? It's your emotions and all your drama. You need to get things off your chest. You
mm,
didn't take time to cool down. You didn't take time to process before
mm,
you came to the child. The child isn't just getting that information, just not getting the lecture, is getting all of that extra, the anger of the child listening, the anger, all the other issues
mm,
and the lesson. So I feel
mm,
like that's why it's in generally, not just in when you're talking to your kid, when you're talking to when you're talking to anybody and you feel like heightened sense of emotion, whatever emotion, it's important to go back, pull yourself out and really like look at the bigger picture, because if you're not, you're going to be reacting in emotion, you're going to be reacting in that moment, and then when everything is done, there's nothing you can do about it because
mm.
it's done.
And you can't take backwards, because for me personally, when I'm all jacked up and stuff, I struggle to articulate properly. So
Mm.
I have time to go back and I go into my shell and then I think it through and I process. But personally, for me, one of the things I struggle with going into my shell is that I process by myself.
Mm.
Communicate to the person that the way you said this and this and this and this, I understand what you were trying to say, but the way you said it hurt me. So then
Yeah.
eventually, a person will continue hurting me, and it's not even on purpose.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying, that the parent will be reprimanding you in whatever way, shouting, what. To them, it's the way that they think is working. It's
Mm.
it's the way that they're going with, and they're hoping it works. Because the first one, two, three times, you don't know if it'll work or not. And you as a
Mm.
child getting shouted at your parents, you're gonna change up real quick what's happening most, right? Because negative
Yeah.
reinforcement basically.
Husband, yeah.
So as a parent, you're gonna know that okay, shouting works. And you're not gonna think of, let me try talking to the child.
Okay,
Yeah.
that also feeds into the same thing, or of let's not, or don't fix us not broken, that
Mm,
they went through this as kids. They are like, oh no, I turned out fine. I'm okay. I'm making money. Yeah, I have a family. I've got a car. I've got a house. Nothing went wrong. Yes, I may not like my parents. I didn't appreciate that moment. And they don't have that self-awareness, right? That, okay, maybe that's a trauma. It does happen. It may affect them in real life subconsciously. But nowadays, for instance, and I feel that's the difference, ne? You know that there's a problem. You feel that problem because now you're aware of it, you know. with them, they were so busy. They had to deal with so many things where, when they say they pushed it all in a bottle. That's why people start going, they have midlife crises, things start going wrong or crazy. They don't start, there, what, or for them, didn't start when they were teenagers because they didn't have the space to. It wasn't even an option, Now, that's it. Like I said, it hits them when they're late, in their 40s, 50s, when they have the time to sit down and process truly what happened to them, how it's affected them in life. Right now in society, how open, how we're talking, you are aware that, okay, I'm doing this because of this, this, and this, and this. And it leads back to what happened to me when I was 6. My mom said this to me. It's now you're aware of it. It's real. It's in your face. So it's 10 times harder to ignore. And that's why, people are dramatic, people are on the run. We're not. We just feel it. You guys didn't feel it now. We're feeling it now as we're young. We're feeling it as it's happening. We feel the cuts happening. Y'all feel you feel the scars. The scars are still painful. They're still healing because they never healed. So your wounds are reopening when you're older. Right now, we feel the cuts happening. We see them. And as your child communicating, you don't know. So you just see them and you don't have anything else to do but sit there and be on some, well,
I feel like that's an important point. You can't see that you're hurting your child until you can understand that you yourself are hurt.
exactly.
You can't see that you're hurting your child until you yourself understand that you're hurting. Because your child doesn't know this life. Young people don't know this life. I don't know this life. You don't know this life. We're going through it for the first time ourselves. Parents,
This year, we're going through this generation, we're going through this society for the first time ever as a community, as planet Earth, as a human species. We can't really calculate, we can presume, we can try to, guess what's going to happen, but we're still learning, we're still figuring things out, and it's not going to be the same.
and I agree that parents, as much as you are also going through the future together with us for the first time, you've walked the journey of the past. It might have been a first time, but there are those lessons that I personally have learned from the older people around me that are timeless. That are timeless, So I feel like also sometimes with my peers, it's hard to sit down. I see that sometimes my peers struggle to sit down and listen to parents because the guidance of parents can be seen as the judgment.
Yeah, because I feel like excuse me, that goes back into the thing of the approach, the way that you come into it, So when parents come into it, most of the time, generally when speaking, they're not speaking from their kids' point of view, in their kids' shoes. It's more of, what would I do if I was in your situation? And when you think about that, it automatically counters in all of the lessons that you've learned in life, right? When you think about your child right now, you're thinking with quote unquote common sense that you yourself had to learn, that you didn't have at first. Now you're looking at your child and all of a sudden they must have it without learning it, without being fed it, and maybe that's the way it is, that it's just presumed and then it happens, so
Yeah, like the whole thing of common sense is all that common. And there are different styles of parenting. Like the style of parenting that we tending to quote back to, I think, authoritarian parenting. Yeah. It doesn't explain, it's basically like a general type of parenting. Like, these are the rules. This is how you live by the rules, and that's it. That kind of parenting style will never explain why the rules are there. Break the rules, you get a punishment, no explanation. Punishment, I choose it, stuff like that. And these parents are the ones who it's mostly the ones who grew up like that too. When their parents chose their life for them. Their parents sculpted, quite literally. And then there's authoritative, I think, parenting, and it's more of the parenting style that our parents have decided to approach, I think.
Mm.
Where there's the guidelines, there's the rules, but there's also that sitting down with the child and explaining that, okay, this is why the rules are here, this is how they're here to help you, that open communication with the child. And I feel like open communication with the child is very important, because when raising a child, my personal opinion, when raising a child, you're not raising a mini version of you. You are just
Thank you. Can I just cut you there? All right. And I just want to make a code, or like, not a code, I want to make a statement right in the middle of it.
Mhm.
Right now, we are speaking out of the perspectives of being as children, right? As teenagers or whatever, but not the parent. We don't have kids. We're not telling you how to raise your kids, right? I guess we're speaking for them in a way so you can understand more about your
Yeah,
kids.
and it's not just from the perspectives of teenagers as well. From the perspective of older siblings. I
Mm.
sat down with my siblings. I've had conversations with other people's kids, like from 7, 9, 5-year-olds. And you can tell quite a bit of these kids are intellectual. These
Yeah.
kids are hella smart. I've had some interesting conversations with some pretty cool kids. And they pick up quite a lot from your parents, from
Mm.
their parents. They pick up quite a lot from the adults around them. And there are some things that I just want to tell a parent about their child. Like,
Did
I
you?
don't want
Mm.
did you know that your child doesn't like it when you do so and so and so and so? But I see the mission, and but it's a thing of you don't know full perspective. I'm one of those people who I don't like saying things because I don't know full perspective.
I understand that. This is okay. This is one of the reasons that led me to the idea, or led us to the idea of this series to begin with. And one of our family events, we started talking about the podcast and everything. And basically, with me, I've always wondered why parents have kids. Why do people have kids in the first place? What's the reason? That goes back to your question of, your statement onto like people are raising mini versions of themselves, their dreams, their hopes, their aspirations, their goals in life that they couldn't accomplish. So basically, they want a Barbie doll for them, for their dreams to be fulfilled, for their fantasies to be, you know, made and stuff. So, we're talking. I realized that how much parents, for instance, my aunts and stuff, want to learn about how we feel, how their children, so they can come at it at a better angle because they know that their parents could have done something else, that there are other ways that you don't necessarily have to walk into this straight line of parenting. There isn't necessarily a notebook. There's just so many different ways.
Yeah, like the times are changing. Excuse me. Like the times are changing as well. So you can't parent the same way forever. You kind of gotta like grow and pull with the parent with the times. Like I remember that with me and you, with our mom, um, playtime. Playtime, guys, was not a struggle. Take us outside. We had toys. We knew how to take care of ourselves. Honestly,
Mm.
honestly, look at the younger generation now, and it's not even because it's our mom. I see it in all kids. No
Yeah.
matter how much you try to restrict your child's screen time and everything, I see it with all kids. They will always prefer the tablet over outside play.
Mm. The one thing that I could say as a South African, right? Looking at my younger sisters, my younger brothers, you know, cousins, were basically my sisters and brothers and stuff, when it's load shedding, I don't like load shedding. Escom, please fix your stuff out, but the one thing I appreciate about it, even though, of course, a plan can be made, whether it's a generator, it's a solar system, it's a power bank, but then they take that chance. I see them playing outside, I see them giggling, making mud pies, playing with the dog, stuff like that. Immediately when the internet comes back on, they're back at it. You understand? And in this world, we're moving into a technology era, a technology where evolution is happening. We have no choice but to move with it. And okay, let me not say no choice. You could move to the farms. You don't necessarily have to fold into society in a whole, but it's happening. It's going to grow with or without you. You know.
It started with the online schooling. Online schooling, then your kids need to learn online, and then they need to play online because there was no one to play with them. Like everything became online. And now my fear with that and kids is they kind of lose their childhoodness about them. That's one thing I fear about. One thing I fear about. I see kids when they're together. You see them when children are together. There's 3 phones at least in the group, and they're all playing on the phone. What happened to running around, jumping up and down, some exercise? Like I feel like technology is kind of slowly taking away engagement in childhoodness.
I do agree with that. And I know I'm always vouching that change is important, change is needed, ne? But then also change comes at a cost, you know? With all of this revolutionary, all this great stuff that's happening, technology, and we're going to have to sacrifice something, that running around, that organicness, that childhood that we had, that our parents had, that at some point in time, it's not going to happen, and it's sad. I know it's important, not just in, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Kids need to be running around doing all that, you know, but at some point, it's just going to be so influenced by. I see kids, you don't be playing with Ma right now. There's exercising channels on YouTube for kids. They be jumping around in front of the TV. They're moving, but the way has changed, At what sacrifice, at what cost are we willing to change? We're moving forward, but with that, when something new comes in, you need to let go of something. So, are you really willing to do that? Us as a generation, not as us as a generation, our kids. Every person, of course, is different. Some people may be on some, oh, my child's not gonna have a phone, and so mang 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 mang, all that, right? It's an aspect. We know, as we're saying, we're speaking here, all these perspectives on parenthood, all of these opinions on parenthood, all of this stuff, right? But then everything needs to feed into circumstance, the world, and stuff like that, And I do agree that now everything, in some ways, in some percentage of parents, some percentage of anything, their children literally being raised by not let's not just say technology, right? Being raised by school. Back, let's just say in the past, right? The age for getting into school is much younger now, much younger. There's preschool, school before actual school. So you don't have that aspect of, okay, social skills, for instance, or even if it's like an only child or something, but interacting with family, that aspect that can't be taught in school is now missing. So your child can be prepared for school, your child can have all of this. You need to sacrifice something, which is quality time with family, so they can have extra school. Everything is a give and take situation. So in that thing, I feel like, what are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah, I feel like those are the questions that you ask yourself when you're having kids and stuff like that. It's always questions I've asked myself because from quite a young age as a woman, the idea of having kids is implanted in your head. So I've always questioned it like, hey guys, a child is hectic work. A child is hectic work. It's sacrifice. It's not easy. So these are questions that I wanna like dive deep in with our future guests and stuff. And I hope that in this introductory episode, it kind of really just gave a scope of how deep you want to get into it. If you guys have your own questions that you want to ask parents, like as a kid, what question would you ask a parent with, with getting an answer, as honest answer as possible? And parents, what questions would you want to ask your kids with open communication?
Yeah,
Let us know.
This may be, a teenager. Our target market is, our peers and stuff. But of course, in this series, we're also counting in that parents, as I was saying, want perspective into their kids' lives to be more educated, to the bridge of communication being more clear and more, solidified. So I feel like it's important that we talk to each other, we understand, we ask these questions that that we need the answers to and stuff. So yes, thank you guys for listening and thank you for tuning in and everything.
This has been Clueless with LMZ, and thank you guys for sticking with us through everything. Bye.
Bye.
Hi guys, I'm Lou,
Hey guys, I'm Z.
and welcome back